Well, there are some important issues that the Tamil people have been agitating about for a long time. Even after the end of the war, what they have been asking for is to find what happened to the missing people, to release the prisoners who were taken into custody 10, 20 years ago, who sometimes have not been convicted by the courts or even taken before the courts but are languishing in the prisons, and to return the land that has been taken over by the military during the time of the war. So those are some of the things that I think this government can do fairly easily and quite quickly if it has the political will to do so. And I'm a little puzzled why it's not happening. Well, one reason probably it's not happening is that this is a new government, new politicians, and although they have a good vision for the country, that vision of theirs does not necessarily permeate downwards. So my feeling is that whether it is in the area of corruption, living a more austere lifestyle, or dealing with ethnic minorities, that there is resistance in the system, which they have still not taken headlong. I think also another area that so they have to do but they have to do something to win confidence of the Tamil people. And I think there are some things that can be done fast, and the thing that can be done fast would be also to change some of the laws that we have. For instance, under the Public Security Ordinance, every month the President signs an order which enables the military to come out and patrol along with the police. Now, why is that necessary? The conflict war is over many years. There is no sense of emergency or threat in the country. Why do we need the military to be out on the streets? The police can do the job equally well. I think if we do such, if the government does that, for instance, and withdraws the military from the streets, they can still be in their camps, but if they are withdrawn from the streets, from being at checkpoints, in a way that will be a sign to the Tamil people that there is change in the country. And it is also something that even the police will probably like, because I understand that the police are not also keen to have military people along with them. They have their own sense of integrity and competence. So they don't need the military to be around, especially when there is no conflict or violence in the country. So if the government thinks there are many things it can do which are small but will build confidence. Well, I think the one confidence building measure would be if the government can deal with the Prevention of Terrorism Act. The Prevention of Terrorism Act was introduced as a temporary measure 40 years ago, and it is still there. It has been used during the time of the Tamil uprising, during the time of the Sinhalese or JVP uprising. It is a very draconian law where the rights of people can easily be violated, because you can take people into custody without taking them before a magistrate. You can keep them for some time. They can be kept without bail. So these are all where human rights violations take place, and it has especially affected the Tamil people in recent times. So if the government either withdraws the PTA from the law entirely and replaces the new one, or at the very least amends the worst features of the bad features of it, then that would also be a confidence building measure. Another thing that the government could do is something that has been talked about quite a lot, a new law that would come in, it would be a Truth Commission, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And I think that also is something that is necessary. Now, recently, the issue of the Butterland Commission report has come up. And now there's a great deal of interest to know what that report says and what really happened during the JVP period. In the same way that people are now, mobilizing, different political parties are saying, okay, we must go into the past and see what happened during the JVP period. So in a similar way, we can expect the Tamil people to also want to know what happened during the war period. So in both cases, people want to know the truth. And I think a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, a Truth Commission, which is there to strengthen the reconciliation process, is something that we have to seriously consider. The previous government also had a draft law, but didn't pass it. This government has the same law that it can work with, and there is talk about that this government will appoint a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I think that is also something that can be done to build confidence in people. What the Sri Lankan government, the present government, is saying and the position it's taking is the same as the previous government. It's the same as governments in most countries. Most countries would not want international involvement because for them, for any government and generally any country, sovereignty is important. The right that a country and its people should decide for themselves and not have the international community coming in and intervening. And it makes sense, because if you look at it, there is this wise saying from the past that countries do not have permanent friends, they only have permanent interests. And we see that true in today's world, that the way the traditional allies are behaving towards each other, so you can't rely on the international system, and the international system is not actually functioning very well. If you look at what's happening in Gaza, Palestine, in different parts of the world, the international system is actually not something that you can place your trust in. You can in the end place your trust only in yourself. So I think that's the basic line that the government is taking, but it is important that the government should actually then, it's simply rejecting what the international community is asking, that it should have a viable alternative. And what the international community is asking is, look into your past, see what happened. And I think that's a correct question to ask, and it's a question that people in our country are asking, especially the Tamil minority, but now increasingly even people from the Sinhala community are asking what happened, say, during the time of the JVP insurrection, when Sinhalese were the main target of the violence that was taking place. So I think it's fine that the government says we don't want international intervention, but then it should have acceptable alternative to that, a domestic mechanism that takes care of those problems. And I think there's always scope for learning from other countries, and therefore, because other countries have gone through similar processes, it's not as if only our country has had violence and human rights violations, other countries have had it in greater degree. So we can learn from those countries. So we can have people coming and advising us, being technical advisors, helping us to formulate our mechanisms, guiding us on the way, helping us in making judgment calls. But in the end, I think it is correct that Sri Lankans should be the ones who decide. Now, the problem is that the Tamil people, because of the long years of experience, don't have much confidence in domestic mechanism, because they feel they will not look after the interests of the minority, but look at the interests of the majority. So we have to then find a way to overcome that problem, and one way to overcome that problem would be to give the representatives of the Tamil people an equal voice and equal power in selecting those who are in the domestic mechanism. That way, then they also can feel that they are the people that they trust are in it. Sri Lankans are in it. And then from there, those people of integrity, who presumably appointed to those bodies, will take the struggle forward. Of course, even what they recommend might then not be implemented. That also has happened in our country. But then if correct people are chosen, people with integrity, they will also take the struggle forward. And that's the way things change. Well, now most people, the vast majority of people are concerned about the economic hardships that they're having, and that's what they're giving attention to. And on that issue, there's no difference between the people in one part of the country or the other, and they will feel the same, and they will feel empathy for one another. But if it comes to a specific ethnically divisive issue, then of course they will tend to think differently. People now are much more wise and aware that ethnicity and nationalism have been used to mobilize their vote, that politicians have taken those stands and made a big noise about those things in order to win their vote, but then when they come to power they do something entirely different. So people know that ethnicity, issues of ethnicity and nationalism are manipulated, but that doesn't mean it doesn't remain in the people. So I think it is there. The people will think differently on issues of, say, the evolution of power, how much power should be devolved to the north and east or to the provinces, whether there should be a truth commission that goes into war crimes and then punishes the soldiers who may be found guilty of it or not. There will be differences on those, I believe. And but I think it's less than before, and an important reason why it's less than before is because of the changed circumstances in the country. After the economic collapse, people realized, as I said, that the political leaders who were heading the country at that time, who said they loved the people and were very nationalist, actually were robbing the people. And then they brought in a new government to power, and I believe this government is taking a different stand. And it has been openly saying it is against racism, that racism is bad, extremism is bad. And because it is saying those things and in a way behaving in that manner, I believe that the level of racism in society, the division in society is also reduced, significantly reduced. Which shows the importance of leadership. Leadership can take us in a bad direction or in a good direction. Sri Lanka, unlike most countries of the world at this present time, is going in a better direction than a worse direction. We should be happy about that. A reconciled and pluralistic society will always be the ideal. And we must strive for the ideal, but it's an ideal. We have to work for it. These things are never givens. Even in other countries, in Western countries that appear to have reached a higher level of democracy and development than our country and education, you find that it's a constant struggle against racism, respect for pluralism, where it is sometimes difficult because people are most familiar with their own community. There's always the issue of majoritarianism, democracy about majority rule. Majority rule can easily be converted into permanent rule by the majority and oppressing the others. So it's something that has to be always worked against. So the need for pluralism and reconciliation will always be there. It's like even in personal relationships, you have to always work at it because otherwise you can drift apart.